we are going to begin today's part. We will start with Gita Mahatma, then move towards the first shloka. Gita Mahatma, very quickly. Every alternate part we will be seeing the Gita Mahatma. So we see Mahatma, something which is very, very important, which highlights the importance of the study of Gita. So it is once said that in the kingdom of Saurashtra, present day Gujarat, there was a king, Bhadrashrava, and this king had an elephant who was very mighty, and the elephant was mighty as well as mad, both at the same time. So very easily he would often be in a fit of rage and crush people, not at all benevolent. Mighty with strength and valor, and also gone crazy, completely mad, with the might and power that the elephant had. So one day it so happened that he was let loose by himself. He broke off all the chains and he started creating havoc in the kingdom. So the king was called upon to pacify him, because king was known to be a very good controller of even of the wildest of animals. So when the king was called, it so happened in the moment that the elephant could not even recognize the king and was moving towards him, about to move towards him. Around that time, one of the brahmacharis, the priest and the brahmacharis who was coming from the snana at the river bath in the morning, was chanting the Gita, shlokas of the Gita. And all of those shlokas he was chanting started with Abhaya, or had the term Abhaya in it. So while he was chanting, for a moment it just came to him that the elephant would go towards the king, and immediately, very calmly, he goes towards the elephant and just touches his forehead, chanting the shlokas of the Gita. In a moment, the elephant pacifies and just with the trunk holds him closer. Now the king is seeing this. After a while, the king calls upon this brahmachari and asks, "What did you say to the elephant that pacified such a powerful animal?" And he said, "I was very calm from within. I was in the state of absolute fearlessness. Everybody else was holding fear in the heart. But what was my state when I was meeting the elephant in that moment? I was absolutely fearless. And my fearlessness was established in the heart of the animal as well. I was chanting the Gita," he says. So it is said that the king studies the Gita, and with the study of Ma Gita, when it completes, he gives up the kingdom. He declares his rightful heir as the son, and he leaves the kingdom. So every part we will see some of the Gita Mahatma, how the sadhakas of Ma Gita through different centuries, through different ages, through different yugas, have been experiencing the glory. So even in the moment of highest fear, if we are in the constant study of the verses of the Gita, fearlessness is established in the heart, what will happen? The energy of fearlessness is so strong that anything to meet us will break apart. In that moment, it will have the transfer of our energy, which is fearlessness. So with this understanding, let's meet the first character, Dhritarashtra. How is his state, Dhritarashtra? In the Bhagavad Gita, who was Dhritarashtra? Yes, he was the blind king, and Vedavyasa, he was also one of the very close ones to Bhagavan Vedavyasa. So when the war of Mahabharata was declared, it was a civil war, Bhagavan Vedavyasa had asked Dhritarashtra, "Should I bestow upon you the divine sight so that you will be able to see what's happening in the battlefield?" And Dhritarashtra says, "No, I will not want that divine sight. I have been blind all my life. But I would want to hear as to what is happening on the battlefield." And thereby this divine vision was given to Sanjaya. He was a qualified seeker. He was a yogi. So Bhagavan Vedavyasa bestows upon this divine vision to Sanjay. And we see Sanjay is narrating what is happening on the battlefield. We saw in the previous chapter also that the Vibhajana, the separation of the chapters of the Gita, 18 chapters, is in 3 tattvas. Tattvam Asi. Yes. So Bhagwan Adi Shankaracharya beautifully also explains this. Yaduktam Grantha Kotivi Ardha Shlokena Pravakshami. Even if I tell you all the possible scriptures, you will not have the complete understanding of them. But if I tell you the 3 padas, the 3 words, it will give you gist of all the 40 shastras, different shastras and scriptures. What are these 3 padas, 3 words? Tattvamasi. So we saw the 18 chapters are devoted to Tattvam and Asi. Now let us see chapter 1. Prathamodhyaya. You may have Gita in front of you now and begin to chant, or simply listen until you have your copy. अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः
अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः
अर्जुनविषादयोगः
अर्जुनविषादयोगः
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे
समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किम् अकुर्वत सञ्जय Yes. Dhritarashtra says, Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta Yuyutsavaha Mamaka Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvata Sanjaya. Can you please tell me, Sanjaya, what? In the Dharmakshetra, where a king dispenses the Dharma. Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra. The name of the place is Kurukshetra. Samaveta have come together. Yuyutsavaha, young men of my family. Mamaka Pandavaschaiva, of mine and my brother's children. Kim akurvata Sanjaya? Can you tell me please what is happening? What are they doing at the battlefield? So we see in this moment that Dhritarashtra is wanting to know what has happened on the battlefield. After actually reaching there, if both the brothers, both the parties have decided to stay in harmony and forget about the war, and they have remembered their childhood and brotherhood, or perhaps the Pandavas have given up the war because they are righteous and they want us to have the kingdom, or perhaps he doesn't say this out loud, but perhaps my sons have taken off the battlefield in fear. So what exactly out of the 3 has happened? Sanjaya wants to know, and therefore the first verse starts with his question. Dhritarashtra Vacha. Now, when we say Rashtra and Kshetra, 2 terms we will see. Now, Kshetra, Bhagwan describes what is Kshetra in 13.1 in the same chapter. Idam Shariram Kaunteya is the verse, and Bhagwan talks about what the Kshetra is in detail, definition of Kshetra. And Dharma, what is the importance of Dharma? we see that every person is having certain desire. For fulfillment of that desire, what is required? Artha. काम की पूर्ति के लिए अर्थ की आवश्यकता है. पर ये अर्थ जो है, यदि ये अर्थ धर्मोयुक्त नहीं है तो क्या होता है? मोह बढ़ता है. If the artha is not in accordance with the dharma, desires will increase. But in case the artha, the wealth, is in accordance with the dharma, vairagya increases. Such is the importance of dharma. What do we see? धर्म अर्जित धन से क्या होगा? वैराग्य पूर्ति होगी. और जो धर्म पे निर्भर अर्थ नहीं है उससे क्या होगा? वासना, काम, दुख, शोक, मोह ये सारी उत्पन्न होंगे. धर्म क्षेत्र, where one is there because one has to fulfill one's own dharma of being the king, of being the prince, and so on. So in this dharma kshetra and kurukshetra, karoti iti kuru. Kshetra will be same. 13.1 we will see what is kshetra. So first two padas we are doing the padacheda. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre karoti iti kuru. Dharma and kshetra we have seen. Samaveta have come together, Yutsavaha. And therefore we see that those desirous of waging the war, all of them have assembled in Kurukshetra. Where is this Kurukshetra presently? What is the area?
In Haryana.
Closer to Delhi.
Yes, Haryana, Delhi, closer to Delhi. So Dhritarashtra is asking this question to Sanjaya. And how is his state of mind for Sanjaya? He is confident attendant. He is a charioteer and he is also a close confidant of the king. So Dhritarashtra asks, Mamaka, being eldest of the family, everybody is mine. Mine, those who are mine, because other family members are also there. So, if he would have been rightfully the eldest of the family fulfilling his dharma, there would have been no war. But he is eldest of the family fulfilling kama. Are you able to see where the family is being led to when the eldest of the family is in kama? And the contrary to it, if the eldest of the family is in dharma, there would be no war at all. So he says, Mamaka, being the eldest, mine. It also signifies ahamkara, me and mine, Mamaka. And we see that he had Bheda Buddhi, my son and Pandu's son, Mamaka, Pandavascha Iva, mine as well as Pandu's. Kimakurvato. What happened? Did the Pandavas withdraw? Did my sons get everything they wanted? Because Arjuna was not afraid of Bhishma Pitama. So he's asking what exactly happened in the Dharma Kshetra, in the first opening verse. So was Dharma sown? So Dharma could be reaped on the Dharma Kshetra, or Kama was sown, the seeds of more and more desire were sown. So more and more Shoka, Dukkha, Moha come. So did anybody have any noble thought suddenly on the battlefield or no? So we see also people who are on the side of wrongdoing, they will be very scared of people with noble thoughts. They don't know how to respond to it. So they just check. It's better the one who is noble becomes like us, comes into Kama. We can't be noble. So if that person becomes like us, what will happen? Our fear will be gone. So this fear of a noble thought was there, that my sons came in contact with Arjuna and other brothers who were noble. So did they have a noble thought because of them? And did they give up the kingdom? All these fears are in his heart. Sanjay knows what he is asking. It's a very simple question. Sanjay also analyzes what is being asked, with what intention it is. Similarly, anybody asks us a question, immediately it must appear to us. What is the direction of that person? The direction of the person is towards artha, it's towards kama, it's towards dharma or moksha. And depending on what is the direction of the person and their adhikaritva, what they would understand. Are they driven by bhavana? Are they driven by jnana? In this case, ajnana. Or they are driven by karma or action. So depending on what they are driven also with, we have to decide the answer. So question can be asked by anyone to us. We may have different kinds of explanations. So for these verses also that we are studying, Gita, there is first Shabda Samskara, then we see the Artha Samskara, then the Guda Samskara. First, to have the Shabda Samskara, you understand the basic structure of the word by word. Then Artha Samskara, and then in between we have the Guda Samskara, depending on Adhikari Bheda. If it's a beginner, if it's an intermediate Adhikari, if it's a yogi or a seeker of moksha, if you are driven by Kama, if you are driven by Artha, or you are driven by Dharma, depending on what you are driven with, we also have to discuss the verse in the same way. So Sanjay is analyzing two things. Who is asking the question and what is the intended meaning? So to be delivered. If we don't understand the person and the intention, we will never be able to give them the correct guidance, answer that is expected out of us. But if we understand the both, we will be able to save first time, because everybody is walking towards not life but towards death. It's a very short life. Every day we are moving closer and closer towards conclusion. We don't know when it will be. So in a very short span of time, how can we progress on to closing this moment of karmic transaction? So focus is more on closing the karmic transaction in the moment, finding the best way in less words, in a less time, to close that karmic transaction. So he is analyzing the both. Sanjaya knows that Dhritarashtra is going to lose, but is he judgmental in that moment? No. He's fulfilling his duty. So even when you know that people around are desirous, or they could have other intentions, they are not sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. So what will you do in that moment? Will you start telling them what they are heading towards? You will first see, are they in the position to take your advice and act upon it? You will see they are driven by their own prarabdha. So when somebody is driven by their own prarabdha, what happens? They will not be able to actually apply what we are saying. So Sanjay sees this. Whatever I am going to say, first Dhritarashtra is not going to accept, then not going to apply. Rather he would avoid. So when cannot accept, when cannot apply, what comes up? Avoid or to negate. So this is going to be the response. So therefore I do not stop him, but rather fulfill my dharma of being his close confidant and tell him what is happening. So first verse opens with this understanding. Today's session we will take only one verse. Next session onwards we are going to see 3 verses to 4 verses at least in the complete part. Now one more understanding of this verse is that the jiva is in avyakta avastha. Every jiva is in which avastha? Avyakta. So the goal of the scriptures is to bring us in vyakta avastha, in complete expression of who we are. Like in our mind, there are thoughts which are in avyakta avastha. When we act upon them, they become vyakta. So every jiva, as per the moksha shastras, is in avyakta avastha. So the journey of the Gita being unfolded by each verse is taking us from where to where? From avyakta to vyakta. Complete understanding of who we are, tattvamasi. So tattvamasi is the sadhan to realize aham brahmasi. Aham brahmasmi. To realize this, we are using tattvamasi. इसे पकड़ पा रहे हैं? समझ आ रहा है? We are going slow. In case we feel we have to go slower, we can also do that. Understand the relation between tattvamasi, aham brahmasmi. Tattvamasi, the Guru is telling you, aham brahmasmi, you are realizing. So the journey from the first verse of the Gita to the last verse is tattvamasi to realizing aham brahmasmi, or Arjuna is. With this, we pause today. If you have questions, you can ask.
Ma'am, you said Gita's every verses take us to the Vyakta, right? From
Yes.
Avyakta to the Vyakta. So
Yes.
what is the meaning, exact meaning of this?
Avyakta, unmanifested.
Yes.
Vyakta, manifested form. Like there are thoughts we have which are unmanifested. They become manifested.
Okay. So manifested Vyakta means like what manifested? Our desire or something else?
Our true nature.
Okay.
We are only desiring. Here there is no desire. We are just walking towards moksha. So what will be manifested is our true nature, what it is. When it is manifested, there is no need for any second to want anything. So through 700 shlokas, this avyakta to vyakta journey will take place.
Thank you.
Some terms will be new for us, difficult for us. We will have to wait 2-3 classes at least for them to be absorbed by us. So with every part, we will write down what we have learned new. What is the word which we never heard before? But most important takeaway today was the mini yoga, that is karanyasa and hridayanyasa. To attain the complete phala of the Gita chanting, the mantra has to be invoked, the mantric shakti of the Gita and shlokatmak shakti of the Gita. These three must be understood. And we see moving from avyakta to vyakta because Swami Vivekananda says each soul is potentially divine. Every soul potentially divine. There is no doubt about it. That's why we have seen examples like Sage Valmiki. There could be reformation in any person. It's possible. Reformation and person becoming or being changed into being good is possible because each soul is potentially divine, undoubtedly. So this divinity, the expression of this divinity realized is Vyakta, moving from Avyakta to Vyakta. So this Triveni Sangam of Tattvamasi, Jiva Jagat Ishvara. Who is Jiva? What is Jagat? And what is Ishvara? This understanding we receive from Gita. Who is Jiva? Who are all the living beings? Because we are born, we must have these three questions. Who am I? Where am I? This earth that I see, what is this place? And what is my purpose? What am I here? What to do am I here? So unless we have these three questions on our mind, who am I? Where am I? And what am I supposed to do while I'm living? So being away from these three questions, essentially fundamental questions that must arise in the human mind. Who are the humans? Who are we? We call this samsara as the also Shakti of Maya. We are so caught in it that we forget these three questions. The name is given to us by somebody else, the family members. All we know about ourselves is told to us by somebody else. But has there been a fundamental questions in our mind? Have there been? Like, who am I? Where am I? And what am I supposed to do? Very fundamental question. Must plague our mind. When this starts happening, that means we are realizing the true essence of life. That is going from avyakta to vyakta, complete expression of life.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, we conclude here today.
मैम
Yes.
मैम
Yes.
आई जस्ट वांट टू आस्क कि हम लोगों को जब भी क्वेश्चंस पूछने हैं whenever we want to ask questions do we write you first or before the next part?
We can take questions. We saw our class structure is going to be 40 minutes to 45 minutes and then 10 minutes of questions. But the only thing when we ask the questions, they must be relevant to the pada, the shloka that we are asking. Slowly, because the Gita is so powerful, with time all our questions get answered, be answered. Just like Arjuna, he had so many questions. So they be answered. But yes, certainly if in that moment, in that day's part, there is a certain question which is related to the verse, we answer. And if it is to come next, we tell you we are going to see it next. So we can ask today also if there is a question on the verse. If you read by yourself the Gita, we will not be able to understand it. The phala prapti will not be complete. That's why you have to read and also listen and read. This is to help you study the Gita comprehensively, completely. So you obtain the phala with understanding. Otherwise, they will merely be words for you. It will be a rajasic activity, denoting a time chanting the Gita. But what's happening inside? Nothing. So only when we chant and read with understanding, it is going to give us the complete phala.
So, Guruji, what would be the key term of this verse? Mamaka?
No. All terms are key terms for this verse. We will point whenever there is something we must specifically note. But the first verse is asked by Dhritarashtra. So everything is important for him in the moment. So all padas are key terms. But mostly we saw kshetra, dharma kshetre, kuru kshetre. Kshetra is repeated twice. And same what is kshetra, Bhagwan gives the understanding to Arjuna in 13th discourse. That is 13th chapter, first verse. So the other batch is studying now 13th chapter. They are on the 13.1. They finished recently. Kshetra. Kshetra is repeated twice, so that will still become important to understand what is Kshetra. Kshetraja. Kshetra and Kshetraja. Field and knower of the field. Both. So every day after the part, we have to light lamp in the temple and meditate on what we have studied from the Acharya. Only then we offer it. Every day's learning, we offer it to Ishvara. Just we will light the lamp and we will contemplate on the verses.
Ma'am,
Ji.
are there any meanings of names like Dhritarashtra, Sanjay,
Meanings of the names? Yes,
Dushyant?
but we see these are not actually they are not names for people, but they are to do with oneself. So the perspectives on the war of Mahabharata are manifold. One of the perspectives is this battle is ongoing within us. So for example, when we talk about Dhritarashtra also, we see that Dhritarashtra has a different understanding when we see the battle is going on within us. But in this part, we are not going towards the absolute Vedantic understanding because we are still building our Adhikarita. So we are taking Dhritarashtra to be the king outside of us. Tendencies of Dhritarashtra to be outside of us. Or we can always take the meaning of Dhritarashtra, for example, from the Vedantic term. We take it Rashate, Prakashate, Atma, Yena Upadina Dhritarashtra. Rashate, Prakashate, Atma. So the understanding is mostly in Sanskritam. We will build it slowly as we go. For now, let's understand Dhritarashtra only as the blind king. Blinded by what? Moha, delusion, kama. Sonali ji, we hope our question was answered.
Nicely.
If no further questions, then we leave us to contemplate here today. We conclude. Bring your palms together at the heart center. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently bow your head down. Feel grateful for this learning. Seek blessings of Bhagavan Krishna. Blessings of the Gurus. When you're ready, gently lift your head up, open your eyes, external eyes. Namo Namaha. Hari Om. Namaste.